Hey guys, today I'm going to be telling you guys a crazy true story about back in 2012, 10 years ago, back when I was wilding out, acting reckless, full throttle in my addiction, how I ended up breaking and entering into a house, and with a bizarre twist, how I ended up becoming really good friends with the woman whose house I broke into, a complete stranger, mind you. It was crazy how everything happened. I'm going to get into all the details and tell you guys the story today, and also how me committing that crime and me becoming friends with my victim, in other words, got us onto a TV show, got us onto a radio show, and got us an article in the Boston Globe. So, if you guys are interested in hearing the story, please keep on watching. And at the end of this video, if you guys thought it was interested and you're interested in hearing us on the radio, seeing the TV show, reading the article in the Boston Globe, all that, I'm going to leave everything linked down below for you guys to go and check into and look at and listen to on your own time. All right? Hope you guys like it. Let's go. What up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I know it has been a long damn time. I'm so sorry. Life has been really crazy. I have been so busy, you guys, doing good things, positive things, and I have so many good updates to share with you guys, but that's not what this video is going to be about today. But I will update you guys on everything I have going on very soon, I promise you. This video is going to be a crazy story time, which you guys already heard in the beginning about what it's going to be about. I just wanted to say, please, everybody, if you want to, hit the subscribe button. It's optional. I would love to have you guys join. I'm really going to do my best to try to upload more and give you guys more content, more stories, more informational videos, everything that I can. Life is good over here. I'm doing great for once, so I'm really happy, and I want to share everything with you guys, all the knowledge that I've learned, all the experiences I've been through, and all the crazy story times for some entertainment as well. Please, if you like this video, hit that like button. That truly helps me out. It only takes 1 second, and like I said, subscribe if you want to. I would love to have you guys join. I read all your comments. I try to reply when I can, and I just love having this community with you guys. So with that being said, please like this video, and let's get into the story time, because it's a crazy one. And if you guys want to follow me more on a day-to-day basis, please go and follow me on Instagram or on Facebook. I'm more active on those than I am on YouTube, and I post stories all the time, and you guys could really stay updated with what I have going on a day-to-day basis. I post pretty much every day. So if you're interested in that, please go follow me over there. All my social medias will be linked down in the description box below, so go follow me. To tell you guys this crazy story, we gotta rewind all the way back to 2012. Now, as most of you know, back in 2012, I was really full throttle into my addiction at that time. There was no stopping me. I was a train wreck. I was 22 years old at that time, and I really just had no cares in the world. I was reckless. I guess I really did not appreciate life. I can say that now looking back. I really didn't. And, I took everything for granted, and I never thought of consequences, and the drugs had complete control of me back then. Long story short, things ended up getting bad enough for me at that point where I had ended up losing a job, losing my apartment. I was homeless on the street. But I still had this big monkey on my back, this gorilla on my back of drug addiction and heroin, and I was sick. And I still needed money, and I still needed to get it fixed. So I started going to crime to get money, which a lot of people do. I'm not proud of that whatsoever, and I'm very proud to say that now I have got my entire record sealed. I'll update you guys more on that in the update video coming up. But come a long way since then. But anyway, back to this. I was doing crimes back then, never anything violent. I never did any violent crimes. It was all just breaking and enterings and stealing and theft, just to get money, just so that I wasn't sick. That was my whole thing. To be honest with you, I can't even remember the month. This is how far gone I was. I don't even remember what month it was, but I know it was the year 2012, towards the end of the year, fall. It was the fall time, maybe September, October of that year. And I had already been arrested for some drug charges earlier that summer, in August, and I was out on bail and waiting for my cases, my trials to come up for those charges. And one day, I don't know what possessed me, but I had got up and I just walked around the place that I was living at the time, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna break into a house. You know, I want to make sure nobody's home, but I'm gonna break in and I'm gonna get money, because I was really sick that day, I remember. And I just remember feeling so desperate and just being so far gone, you know, like I wasn't myself at all. But I just knew that I did not want to feel the way I was feeling, and that I needed to feel better, and that was what drove me. So I just remember walking like maybe a couple streets over from where I lived, and it was a neighborhood that had a lot of really big houses, really big, nice houses, you know. So I just picked the first house like up on the corner. I remember walking up a hill underneath a bridge, and I just picked the first house that was right there on the corner. And in order to make sure nobody was home, because I never wanted to break into a house when somebody was home and then have a violent situation happen. That wasn't me at all. I'm not a violent person. I was just a sick drug addict who was desperate. You know, I just needed money. That was it. So I decided the way that I would make sure that nobody was home is I was going to knock on the door and see if anybody came to the door. And if nobody came to the door, then I could assume that nobody was home. But if somebody did come to the door, then I would just play it off, you know. Oh, hey, is this da-da-da's house? You know, and just act like I was at the wrong house. So I remember knocking on the door and nobody came to the door. So I was like, okay, this is it. I'm going to do it. I remember looking around the neighborhood to make sure nobody was watching. And I remember I walked down a little bit and then came back to the house and walked up and tried the front door, and the front door was locked. So I remember going to the porch and trying a couple windows. Actually, I don't really remember that. I just know that by what they tell me happened. I ended up going through a window, sliding up a window and climbing through a window in the front of the house. So up in the house, and I just remember my heart racing really fast and just wanting to find any money that I could, or anything of value that I could make money off of, because I was so sick. And I remember that while I was in the house, I ended up finding a bottle of like Percocet, and I found like a couple, like an iPod, I think, and a couple other things. I don't remember, to be honest, you guys. But I remember while I was in the house, the owners pulled into the driveway. And I just remember looking out a window from upstairs and seeing their car pull into the driveway, and I freaked out. Ran down the stairs as fast as I could, and as they were coming in the front door of their house, literally as they were opening the front door, I was opening the back door and running. And I made it out of the house and ran home as fast as I could. I'm not going to get into how I got caught, but I ended up getting caught, right? Later on. And it was another charge. So then I now had a break-in and entering into a facility, into a dwelling during the daytime, and larceny over 250, and trespassing, added on to the drug charges I already had. So now I'm building up all these cases, these charges, you know what I mean? So my life was really going downhill at this point. I ended up going to jail for a little bit, ended up eventually getting out with the promise that after like a month or two, the promise that I was going to go to a court alternative program, which is like a jail that's in a house, but it's a treatment facility too, that you're locked in. And I agreed to do that, so they let me out. They let me out of jail, and I had 1 month. It was exactly 30 days until I had to go to the court alternative program, and I was going to be there for 3 months, and then from there I had to go to a halfway house for up to a year. So I was home. I got to go home for 30 days. And while I was home, I ended up getting an email one day from a woman named Nina. And I had no idea who she was. Turns out that it was the girl's house of who I robbed. And I guess she had been coming, without me knowing, she had been coming to all my court dates. And she was in the courthouse and she saw me. And this woman reached out to me. And I guess like over a period of time of her coming to the courthouse and seeing me walk down the hallway in handcuffs and shackles, and she had a son that was my age who I actually went to high school with, and she struggled with alcohol addiction back in her past, you know, when she was younger. And I guess like her coming to the courthouse, she really wanted to hate me for what I had done and broken into her house, and she had every right to, you know. I totally trespassed on her privacy, and you know, that's the ultimate sin. And at first she did hate me, but then I guess when she would come and see me in the courthouse, like her heart just kind of broke for me, because she saw how broken and how sick I looked. And she thought, and she tells me to this day that she felt when she saw me walk down the hallway that it could have been her own son, and she felt in her heart that it was her own boy. Anyways, this woman ended up reaching out to me out of the blue when I was ready, you know, waiting at home to go into a court alternative program, and telling me that she wanted to meet me at some point, and kind of told me her story. And it was the most unexpected thing, you guys. I never expected that. You know, I expected her to hate me pay me like anybody would. And I just thought when I read that how amazing this woman is for already forgiving me and not even meeting me yet, and just how much of an awesome human being that she must be to be able to look at this situation in the way that she did and empathize rather than judge me for the wrongs that I did. She was able to empathize with her own past and seeing me as maybe her own son. So this woman, her name was Nina, and she owned a little store, like a little art store on the main street of the town that I was living in at the time. And so I have to rewind a little bit. I had been reached out when all my crimes had been in the newspapers and stuff. I was contacted by a woman who worked for New England Public Radio named Karen Brown. And she had wanted to, she also worked, she was a correspondent for the Boston Globe newspaper, and she worked at the radio station. And she had reached out to me through email and wanted to kind of, addiction in the heroin epidemic and opiate epidemic was really big at the time. So she was wondering if I was going to be willing to kind of share my story and on the radio and stuff like that, and kind of just show people the other side of what addiction was like to the public. And I told her that I was willing to do that. And she wanted to interview me and then, you know, kind of follow my journey. So she had reached out to Nina too. And I remember it was the day before I was to leave to go to this core alternative program. Me and Nina had agreed to meet at her place of business, and Karen, the girl from the radio, was coming that day to interview me and had asked if it would be okay if she had followed me with, you know, the microphone and stuff over to the place, to Nina's place of business, and to record the meeting of us and the whole thing. And I said that that was okay. That day she came to my house, Karen did, and she followed me over there, and Nina had requested that we didn't do the whole thing on the radio and on camera, not us meeting for the first time anyway. She wanted to meet me in person, and I walked in. Karen had waited outside with all her equipment, and I walked in and I hugged Nina and she hugged me, and we talked for a few minutes, and I apologized, and I just knew right from the bat that this was going to be a person that I was going to be able to have a great relationship with. And what a bizarre twist, because she was my victim ultimately, you know, she really was. But I just felt something talking to her, like she was an amazing person and like she had been brought into my life for a reason. It was the weirdest thing. So anyways, met her that day for the first time. Then I went back home, and the very next day I went to the core alternative program, which was like 3 hours away, and I went there and I was there for 3 months. And the whole time that I was there, me and her were writing letters back and forth. Long story short, something ended up happening. I did graduate that 3-month program, but you're supposed to go on to a long-term halfway house after that. And I ended up going to one where they treated me very, very badly. So I ended up running from that program. And by me leaving, it was a violation of my probation. So I ended up turning myself in, and they put me back in jail until they could find me a new program. And I went back to jail for I think a month and a half. And the whole time I was in there, Nina continued to write me, and we wrote back and forth. And we were just kind of getting to know each other through writing letters, and she was very supportive, and it was incredible, and I just couldn't believe what was happening. So also I have to add that every time that I was going to court, because I kept being dragged from jail back to court to see if they were going to be able to place me into another program or this or that, Karen from the radio, she had come to the courthouse to interview me and follow my story. Every time that I had went to court, she would come with the microphones and she would interview me, and all this is going to be on the radio. You guys will hear everything if you go click on the links and hear the radio stories. I believe she interviewed me, 3 or 4 times, and I'll link all of those down below, like I said. But she was kind of following my journey, and so eventually they ended up placing me into a drug court program, which I was in for almost 3 years, and that allowed me to get out of jail, and I was on a very strict drug court program through the courthouse. Through that period, I had moved back into an apartment, and this woman, Nina, she lived, just a couple blocks from me. So we had met in person, and we just kind of became friends. It was very bizarre, you guys. Like, we became friends. She even hired me. She had a business, and she even hired me to come do work for her, and she would pay me like once a week, and I'd come up and have dinner and the whole thing. And we just became friends, and like, she was an amazing woman. We went and did some paintings together, a big mural that we painted, and just all kinds of things. And she was a really amazing woman. And I just, it was so bizarre to me and just so amazing that there was actually people like that out there in the world. Because I'll be honest, if somebody broke into my house, I don't know how forgiving I would be like that. You know, I'll be honest. And I expected her to be the same way and to feel the same way and to hate me. Since Karen had been following my story on the radio, she had come and she wanted to interview me and Nina together. So one day I went up to Nina's house for dinner, and Karen had stopped by and interviewed us both, and on the radio, and it was a big hit. And this kind of went viral on New England Public Radio, and again, I'll link that down below. And I remember I played the piano for them, and you can hear me playing the piano in the background, and she tells the story and narrates the story. Unfortunately, me and Nina ended up having a falling out over something very stupid, very silly. Just two misunderstandings back then, and this was like maybe in 2014, 2015, I'm not sure the exact dates. Anyways, me and her are good till this day. So New England Public Radio ended up following my story and following the whole story between me and Nina, and how she was my victim, and how I was a victim of the opiate epidemic, and how I did this crime and ended up becoming friends with her. And the whole thing was kind of documented on the radio for everybody to hear on the public radio. And they ended up doing a Boston Globe article as well on my story, and I'll leave that link down below if I can find it. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to. Till this day, I've been in contact with Karen even recently, the last couple of years, and every couple of years she wanted to kind of do an update on my journey and see where I was, which would be really cool. I'm going to contact her and see if we can do that and do another radio interview to see where I'm at today. That would be amazing. But during that time that me and Nina were friends, when we were really hanging out a lot, we were advised that there was a TV show that was coming to our area, and they were doing an episode which was Parts Unknown with Anthony Bourdain. I don't know if any of you know that show. He committed suicide, rest in peace. But yeah, we were advised that we could come and meet him, and we were invited, and they were going to be taping an episode of his show because he's from Massachusetts, and the opiate epidemic was really bad here, and they wanted to do an episode on that. So they came and did that, and we were invited, and it was really cool. We got to be on an episode of the TV show, and I got to meet Anthony Bourdain, and I'll throw up some pictures right here of me and Nina and me and Anthony Bourdain and meeting him, and it was really cool. And the whole episode was based on the opiate epidemic in Massachusetts. And Anthony Bourdain had struggled with opiate addiction and drug addiction as well. So it was really cool they did that on his show. Parts Unknown. Parts Unknown. I will leave the season of the show and the episode in the description box below if you guys want to check out the episode. They didn't actually end up using any of my speaking parts or any of the parts that we were involved in, but if you look, our section is towards the end of the show. You can still see me on the show. You see me sitting there at the table. There was like a big dinner and everyone sat at the table, and during filming I did get up and I spoke and all that, but they didn't end up using any of those parts. But you can still see me sitting there, and we got to be on an episode of the show, and it was really, really cool. Really great experience. Me and Nina did a lot together, and she became a really good ally in my life, and a very supportive person for me. Like I said, we had a really stupid falling out, but we made amends after that, and I ran into her like less than a year ago, and we stopped and talked, and she's really, really cool. And I actually want to reach out to her, and I'm going to reach out to her and ask her if she wouldn't mind if I come visit her and we do a sit-down interview on camera so you can hear the story from her point of view, being the victim. I think that would be really, really cool. If you guys are interested in that, let me know, and I'll see if I can make that happen. I'm sure she'd be willing to do it. The radio interviews are really cool and interesting. The articles are interesting. Like I said, there's audio to go along with it because they interviewed us on the radio. And I will leave everything linked down below, you guys. And also I'll leave that TV show, like I'll leave what season it was in the episodes. You guys can watch, and you'll see me on there at the end. And yeah, it's a really crazy true story. Till this day, me and Nina are still friends. I don't get to see her a lot. We don't live in the same area. We are still friends on social media, and we talk here and there through DMs or whatever. And I always wish her well, and I'm very remorseful and sorry for what I did, like more than you could ever know. Today I've completely changed my life around, and I really, really honestly am doing better than I have ever done in my entire life, and for that I'm so grateful. So I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed this story. It was a crazy one, very true. I have so many other crazy stories to tell you guys that we'll get into eventually. I'm gonna leave you guys here. I'm gonna get this uploaded as soon as possible. I love you. I'm sorry that I haven't been on here in a while. I'm slacking, but I've been so busy. Next video is gonna be an update video to let you guys know everything I got going on. It's good news, you guys. So fingers crossed, everything stays great. I love y'all. Stay beautiful. Stay safe. Be smart. I'll see y'all on the next one.